right, I'm going to take the next 5 calls in line. Then I'm going to blitz through a bunch of important news that continue with calls. I'm going to have Aaron Dykes in studio with me some on eugenics and some video clips of these eugenicists openly calling for the mass extermination of society. Actual video of George Bernard Shaw talking about this and others. So that is coming up. And the caller was just now bringing up Israeli security firms. My issue with this is, we're going back to him in a moment, my issue with this is that Israel's been caught spying on the United States. Israel has been caught over and over and over again taking sensitive military technology, guidance systems, aircraft systems, missile systems, armor systems, and giving it to the communist Chinese and Russians. In fact, the other day I was going to cover this some, did some research. Well, I did some re-research, went and pulled up stuff I already knew was there to cover it on the radio show, and they never got to it. So I want my crew right now to Google this online in front of everyone. Israel sold U.S. technology to China. You type that in, you get literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mainstream CBS, ABC, CNN, where Israel has been caught selling everything under the sun, AWACS, radars, computers. Our government sells them more advanced jets than we've got, and then they give it to China. And then, oh, well, you can't talk about the wonderful little ally Israel. Israel is a criminal operation. So is the United States. So is England. So is China. What did the Founding Fathers teach us? 99% of the time, governments are criminal. But Israel makes itself look good up against Iran and other tyrannies like Saudi Arabia. Well, yeah, they're bad too. See, that's what's so illogical about this. The government says, give all your rights up or terrorists are going to get you. Israel secretly sells American nuclear weapons to China. U.S. arms sales to Israel end up in China. U.S. anger at Israeli weapons sale. BBC, Haaretz, that's out of Israel. I guess they're anti-Semitic. Selling arms to China or not. Haaretz. And then you read the article, they admit it. New York Times. Israel sells arms to China. U.S. says. How many hits did that get? 390,000. 390,000. I'm looking at that across the room. Is that 390,000 or 390 million? Yeah, it's 390,000. 390,000 hits on Israel sells weapons to China. And they sign agreements that they won't sell it, and they do. Why is Israel running a lot of the NSA equipment? Why does Israel get to run things that our own government isn't trusted with? Why do they get to guard U.S. nuclear weapons? Why are they one of the biggest contractors training Homeland Security? That was in the Associated Press and Jerusalem Post 2 weeks ago. Why does Interpol get more immunity, that's Europe and the rest of the planet, in the U.S. than our own police? It's a joke. The UN and others just give themselves all this immunity, and we just fall down in front of them. So I'm going back to your calls in a moment, but on that subject, I wanted to make that point. Let me now go ahead and tell you about a few of the sponsors that made today's radio show possible. One of them is My Solar Backup. Have you lost your power and wanted to simply flip a switch to get the lights back on? If so, you should check out mysolarbackup.com, because there's never been a better time to start getting off the grid and generate your own supply of electrical power. Here's why. Plug-and-play solar generators are now available from Solution from Science, and my listeners have been getting these for over 2 years now. They love them. The portable power systems need no installation, supply household current wherever and whenever you need it, producing electricity directly from the sun and storing it in a little battery system. Unlike gas generators or solar generators, runs quietly and emits no fumes. It's like having your own electrical power plant, and it's perfect for your home or your campsite. You can get a bunch of them and run your whole house. Whether it's hurricanes, ice storms, brownouts, blackouts, you'll never have to suffer through painful power outages again. So go to mysolarbackup.com to request a free information package today. That's mysolarbackup.com or 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Also, I want to tell you about diginet.net. They've got a lot of great little hidden video camera pins, hidden video camera sunglasses that have the little memory chip in the sunglasses. Great way because you know what the camera's shooting from where you turn your head. That's my favorite system. They're all available at diginet.net. They are a huge supplier and retailer. They sell to the government, you name it. So you get an incredibly low price because you're going right to a big wholesaler, and they're patriots. Diginet.net. Diginet.net. I love the pin as well. That's diginet.net, or click on the banner at Infowars.com. That's diganet.net. And their phone number is also on their website if you'd like to give them a call. Again, that's diginet.net. Okay, let's go back to your calls, and I'm going to get into all this news I haven't even covered yet. Okay, sir, finish up. Call Burmis in here. He made Fabled Enemies. I'd say 30-40% of the 2-hour film is about the Israel connection. Israel, the U.S., Britain, they're all joined at the hip. It's all the same thing with these intelligence agencies. Jason, a caller called in, Bill in Connecticut, I believe, and he was asking me, there were several of them, and I don't want to get this wrong. My memory is failing me right now. There's the Israeli company that's even in mainstream news that runs 90+% of all caller ID checks in the country.
There's two of those. That's Amdocs and Converse.
Start over. They didn't have your mic on. Go ahead.
Yeah, the two companies that handle basically all the telecommunications in the United States are Amdocs and Converse. And I want to think that the establishment the guy was talking about is Otago Securities. They're the ones that had the lease for another, I believe, 8...
No, Otago was the big instant message company that sold it and changed the name, and it was in the Jerusalem Post that, it's not a rumor, that they called their employees and said, get out of the building 4 hours before. And that was also in the AP. But again, the executives all talked about it publicly, showing they weren't involved. And I'm not saying there weren't elements of Israel involved somehow. The point is I'm saying Israel didn't go it alone. It doesn't reduce guilt on anybody. It's saying it's a huge operation, just like LBJ was involved in USS Liberty, so was Israel.
Absolutely.
It's like if two guys rob a bank, they're both equally guilty. The ADL-controlled white supremacist groups get mad at us and want to make it only an anti-Semitic deal so it doesn't become a mainstream media item and become kosher and acceptable to talk about. No, but what's the one that had the majority of contracts over airport security? Now, I know that Marvin Bush's company and Jeb Bush had companies over the major airports the hijackers came from, and the food service onto the planes, and the security on the towers.
And that was Securicom that later turned into Stratesec. That's the Jeb Bush one. The only other company I can think of was Zim Shipping that also seemed to have foreknowledge. The securities companies, I'm not sure. I know that through Amdocs and Converse, this rogue network, because they picked up about 180 Israelis, had basically infiltrated every major intelligence operation we had, from secret offices, the Secret Service, the CIA, the FBI. The list went on in that Fox report.
And again, your film, Fabled Enemies, has the Fox News clips, the C-SPAN, the congressional admissions. This is not our opinion.
No, it's absolutely not our opinion. It's one piece of an international intelligence operation that continues to this day. If you look at Iran-Contra, for example.
You've got Israel, you've got the Brits, you've got the U.S.,
exactly.
You've got Latin American countries, and you've got the Iranians.
And Israel was used for plausible deniability. Israel would actually purchase the weapons, so the United States didn't have to do that part. We would take those weapons, ship them down, and then pay Israel later.
Just like what happened in the 9-year war with the Russians, the Israelis, the Turks, the British, the U.S., the Saudi Arabians, all involved.
Absolutely.
That's how governments compartmentalize. Where not one intelligence agency that I've seen never runs it all themselves. Because they want to divide it up where only certain groups know certain things.
Look at the Pakistani ISI. This was literally set up by British intelligence and then revamped by U.S. intelligence and covert operations in the late 70s and 80s. And then they're the ones funding the hijackers prior to 9/11.
All right, good job. Thank you so much. Again, Bill, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I just thought it was interesting because, like I said, this article that's here on MSNBC today talking about, Israel launches biometric airline security system. It's like, they turn around, they take your passport, your fingerprint, and like with the other guy, there was another guy that called in earlier sitting there saying something about the whole biometric thing. But I mean, it's like, if people turn around and get ticked off at this whole, body scan thing, which personally I will never fly. I mean, that's it. I just sat there and said, you know what, if that's the way it's going to be, because it's already humiliating enough that you got to go in there. You're not even a bad guy, and they're frisking you, checking you out, this, that, the other thing. And it's like, forget about it. Why fly? But now it's like if they sit there and say that they don't want to have this, then they'll say, oh, well, let's go to this company. And then next thing you know, this company's got the contract.
And then you've got Chertoff, who's an admitted Israeli double agent. His father and mother were founders of the Mossad, and he's making all this money. We're really being taken advantage of, and it's wrong. I appreciate your call.